Many years ago, I made this exact design using an airbrush. However, in this tutorial, we're going to stick with royal icing only. These beautiful cookies are great for princess-inspired parties, birthdays, or any fairy tale celebration. Hi, it's Hani here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, Hanielas. In this step-by-step cookie decorating tutorial, we are going to make adorable princess carriage cookies with a heart cookie cutter. So if you don't have a special carriage cookie cutter, you can use a heart instead. I'm starting with the base layer using blue icing. It's about 15-second consistency. Now, you can skip this step altogether. You can just use one color instead, but I want to show you a really fun, creative technique using wet on wet royal icing decorating, how you can create an interesting arresting background for your cookies, for your design. So immediately turn the cookie over. You can see the tapered end of the heart now is up, facing up. And we're gonna pipe clouds. I'm using, again, about 15-second consistency icing. Your icing should be fluid enough so it's gonna sink into that base layer. So once it dries, we're gonna have a nice seamless pattern across. So I'm gonna pipe a few more clouds, and then, like this wasn't enough, we're going to add the grass. So to make the grass, I'm going to be using obviously green icing. If you can, prepare 2 shades of green, otherwise just stick with 1 shade of green. And again, it should be about 15-second consistency or around there. You can make it 10 seconds just to make sure that it's going to really sink into that base blue layer. And this is going to dry for about 8 to 12 hours before we can move on with the next step. So make sure that you set these aside, set them on a flat tray. If you have a fan, a ceiling fan running, you can also turn that on. It helps speed up the drying process. Once the icing dries, we can take the template. I made the template out of cardstock, and I'm using gray edible marker, tracing the outlines onto the icing. What I did with the template, I used the same cutter I used for the cookies. I traced it onto the cardstock. I made my design and I cut out short slits with an X-Acto knife. You can see those 2 little holes. Those 2 little holes, it just happens they were air bubbles, and I run my marker through the air bubbles, and because there's the icing there, it's quite thin, so I made a hole there, but don't worry, it's all gonna be covered with icing. So now I'm just making sure that my guides are all finished, and we need another small guide for the carriage body, because that's going to be divided into smaller sections. And I'm going to be using pink icing, about 20-second consistency here. First, we're going to outline everything, and then we're going to start filling in. I'm also going to make the window at this time. So we're going to outline, and you see those really narrow areas. So the risk of developing cratering after we ice it is very high here. So I'm going to pipe a zigzag line. This doesn't have to be a thick line, just a thin line is fine, but pipe it across and then let it cross. This is going to help mitigate cratering or dimpling in royal icing. What I'm doing now, I'm doubling the outline. So I'm using the same icing. Once the icing crusts, I'm adding another outline on the top. This way I'm gonna be able to fill these sections with a nice amount of icing, and it's going to create a nice puffy look. So I'm adding an extra line there around the window. Now let that kind of sit for maybe a minute or so, 30 seconds should be enough. And then we can fill in these sections. So you can see I'm really squeezing a lot of icing out of the bag. We're gonna do these in steps. I'm not going to do everything all at once. So now take your scribe tool, shape it, and then we can move on and do the other side. The adjacent sections we have to wait. So don't pipe the adjacent section right now. We have to wait for those outer sections to crust, and then we can do the sections that are next to it. This way we'll have a really nice definition between the sections. And folks, if you are new to my YouTube channel, if this is the first time you are watching my videos, don't forget to subscribe and also hit that notification bell so you get notified about my new uploads. And now since the icing is crusted, we can fill in this area. I like to really squeeze the piping bag quite a bit here because I want to make sure that the icing covers especially the surface where we have that outer edge of that border, so I don't have a gap there and I don't have to use my scribe tool in there too much. So now we're just going to distribute it, accentuate the points, and this has to crust again, so give it about 20 minutes or so. Now with light ivory icing, again about 20-second consistency, we can fill in this section. So this is, I mean, basically this would be the door, I suppose, on the carriage. And now I'm going to make drapes. So I'm using my scribe tool, very lightly scratching the surface. And now with dark pink, again 20-second consistency, I'm just going to do the outline, and then we're going to do the same little zigzag line, little line in the middle to help mitigate cratering. Let that crust, and now you can come in with 20-second icing and fill these tiny little sections. When you're distributing the icing, you can move the icing on the top of that outline we made, so it's a bit more hidden. And those of you who prefer picture tutorials, I have a full blog post about this tutorial on hanielas.com. All the links are in the description box under the video. Now with black royal icing, we can make the wheels. I'm using number 2 piping tip. And this is about piping consistency here. I'm going to smooth the icing. You can use a paintbrush. And now we're gonna, this is optional, I'm adding a white layer here on the inside of the black circle we made. And my icing is about, I'd say 20-second consistency around there. Now we can make the spokes. So I'm starting in the middle, and then we can divide it. And for this, I'm using PME 1.5 piping tip. Slightly smaller than number 2. Now for the framing of the window, I'm using stiff consistency royal icing that I colored with ivory food coloring. And I've got my piping bag fitted with a small star tip number 14. You can also use number 16. And the reason I'm using ivory, because we're gonna paint everything with gold metallic paint, and ivory serves as a really nice base for the edible metallic paint. It provides really nice coverage. So now we're gonna wait for everything to dry, give it about 2 hours or so, and then we can paint with that gold metallic paint. To make the paint, you can use readily available metallic paints, or you can make your own by mixing luster dust with high-proof alcohol, like Everclear. You can also use vodka, or any kind of clear grain alcohol will work. Now, if you make your paint too runny, just wait a couple moments and alcohol will evaporate quickly and it will become thicker. If it's too thick, you're gonna have to add a little more alcohol in there using your dropper. And now we're gonna paint all the ivory icing with gold. And there you have it. And that's how you can make these beautiful princess carriage cookies using a hard cookie cutter. Again, as I mentioned earlier, you can use white background instead of the pattern background if you'd like to. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.